man.
Straight jugs.
Those glasses, I saw those glasses though, did tempt me a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. What you got? What did you bring? What did you bring?
Strict show budget. I don't remember what it was. It's upstairs. If you want it, we can bring it.
Tell them to bring them down.
Bring
Let me
it in case
look.
of
I'll take a look at
emergency.
them. I'll just take a look at them.
Alright.
Just in case. Somebody just have a little sip. Or even just had a glass here. It looks aesthetically, it looks great on camera. We want to keep it, you know.
Classy, elevated.
Yeah, keep it elevated.
Sophisticated.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back to another episode of Mind the Game. In this episode, I got to nerd out a little bit. Maybe it's a episode that means more to me than most people out there, but I think it's really fascinating for fans and even fans who played in the league to understand what it takes to survive, to find consistency, to be prepared to play, to avoid injury, to be able to go out there every night and do your job. And so in this episode, I really dug in on LeBron's preparation, how he takes care of his body, the sports science behind it, what his recovery is like, his diet, many different things that allow him to find that level night after night, but also year after year. This is year 22 for LeBron James. That's an outrageous accomplishment to play and to be able to play at this level, still dunking on younger players, still running the floor, still able to play at an extremely high level and efficient level. And much of that is due to the way he handles his preparation and recovery. This guy is very diligent and religious about the way he takes care of his body and his mind, and I think you'll be fascinated, as I was, to get a little deeper and understand the methodology and the routines and the habits that he's built over these 22 years. You know, one thing that I gotta ask, and it leads into a longer conversation that fascinates me, is like, how do you feel? Like, really, how do you feel? Like, do you feel great? Do you feel like, I feel great for my age? Do you feel, I feel great for this stage of my career? You're just like, I feel great.
I have my moments.
Yep.
Before.
So it's good. You're human. You're human.
I have my moments. But I would say for where I am in my career, the years I've played, the miles I've played, the minutes I've played, the games I've played, I feel great. I feel great. And obviously you have months where some months are better than others, depending on the schedule. After games, depending on the workhorse of the game, you know, you're like, oh shit. But it's usually the morning after the game. It's that first step out of bed will let you know how old your ass is.
Yep.
And those are the moments I'm like, Brian, what the hell? And it's usually on the road too.
Yeah.
It's usually on the road. You know, you're like, what the hell are you still doing out here? What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Why are you out here still?
Yeah. And where do you feel it? Like, is it a slight like inflammation, tired legs, back?
Yeah, back, ankles. Yeah.
You know, no one wants to hear this, but I played soccer a little bit. I played the other night, a bunch of guys that are like 25 to 30, 30s. Like, I wake up the next day, I feel like I was in a car crash. Yeah. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, I don't know how you are still dunking on cats, like running out ahead of everybody.
I don't know either.
You know,
I don't know.
Do you have nights like this happened to me a lot, and you have to learn to deal with it and get it done anyways, where you just feel like heavy legs?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. Or you know, you wake up and you're headed to the arena and you're like,
I don't know.
It's not going to be tonight.
I don't know if I can do it tonight.
You know, we just, I had that feeling right after the break. We shit the bed versus Charlotte. Right after the break, back-to-back in Portland. You know, we didn't get to our hotel until 3 o'clock in the morning. And we had a back-to-back versus Portland. They had won 9 of their last 11. And I think the 2 games they lost to was versus Denver. I think there was 11 and 2 over their last 13, so they have been playing good ball. Yeah. Chauncey had them playing great ball. And you know, I woke up to get treatment at like 11 o'clock. You know, I didn't go to sleep till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I set my alarm for 10:30. I was like, okay.
Is that always hard for you? When you get off a flight,
get
to the room?
Yeah. Even at home, it's always hard to sleep the night after a game.
So do you ever go on the road after a game, you fall asleep that last 10 minutes of the flight, You can't fall asleep for like 3-4 hours.
It just killed me on the way back from Denver.
It
was the worst.
That.
It killed me on the way back from Denver.
Like,
oh my goodness, it killed me on the way back from Denver.
Oh, man.
So we're in Portland, and I get my rehab, my treatment. I was like, okay, I have to get my body moving. I can't wait till 7 at night. I got to get my body moving. I get the treatment and rehab. I get in there, and I get done around like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And usually I catch the first bus, which is usually 3.5 hours before the game. So 7 o'clock game is like a 3:30 bus.
I got to hear about that later, the thought on that. But go on, keep going.
I get into bed at 1 o'clock. I set my alarm for 2:30. It goes off. My body basically says, there's no way you're getting out of this bed yet. So I reset my clock again for the next bus, supposed to be at 4. Yeah. Body again. Long story short, I end up catching the last bus at 5 o'clock. Like I couldn't. My body would not let me get out of bed. I needed to rest till 4:15. I finally got out of the bed, caught the 5 o'clock bus, didn't shoot pregame, got in, did some stretching, did a little activation in the locker room, got ready to play, and I was like, tonight ain't gonna be the night, and I scored 40.
Yeah. You've been there before. You've been there before. You don't panic.
I didn't panic at all.
You don't quit. You're like, it might not be the night. Let me adapt.
But let me see.
Before you know it,
the crowd keep going, start going. The motor gets going. I always say like I'm like a 1965 Chevy Caprice. I just needed a little bit of time on the highway
time to rev
get going, rev it up, get a little smoke out of the engine. And then I was ready to go.
But it's interesting because I think like the common fan and even maybe a lot of players, nowadays we have all the bells and whistles for recovery, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Massage, compression, hot cold.
Yeah, hot cold, hyperbaric, yep.
95% of your recovery, 99% is sleep.
It's sleep.
It's by far the greatest.
I said it after the game. They asked me, how I said, I just slept as much as I could.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing, like, that's got to be a habit if you want to be successful.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
want to prevent injury. You want to be able to say, I don't have it tonight, but I'll give myself a chance. I get 40, right? But that's a part of the discipline of sleeping and staying, because a lot of times, like we travel. This is for the fans, right? You travel, you get in and out, late nights, planes, different cities, time zones, the cumulative effect of the season. Not complaining, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
But like your clock is a mess. That's why I wasn't a great sleeper, so I had to nap like every day, like really for the days when I wasn't gonna sleep, right? And it's cumulative sleep. Like you have a bank account is the way sleep works.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So like if you're trying to get 8 to 9 a day, like sometimes you're gonna get 5 or 6. And how are you gonna make up the deficit, right? So napping, the discipline to go to bed early, all those things are so important.
No, my wife literally, she's the best ever. She gets mad at me when it's time for me to go to bed. That's how much I love sleep and take care of my body. Like man, but about 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, "Ooh, what time you going to bed?" She's like, "You going to sleep?"
Yeah.
Like, I am going to bed.
Do you like preempt it with like, you want to hang a little tonight? Because if you want to like get dinner, or like have a glass of wine, we better do it at like 5:36. That's my household too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But I'm interested in how you've done this throughout the years, and so maybe I was thinking we could start like with how the calendar looks for you. So like, if you don't mind, like the season ends. Okay, let's start now. It's a new season, so that's our January 1 as basketball players in a way, is like when the season ends.
Right.
How is your approach to the off season, and especially those first 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, those first 3 or 4 weeks is literally I try to get away from actually me playing basketball. Am I away from the game? Absolutely not. I'm watching the game or I'm in the gym with my boys and I'm watching them prepare and playing, either they're in tournaments or whatever the case may be. But me personally, I try to give myself, especially at this point in my career, an opportunity for all the little nicks and crannies and bruises, whatever, to give itself to recover. And obviously I've learned over the years that, me recovering at 40 is totally different in the off season than me recovering at 25. You just don't recover as fast. Right. So I try to take like a month, maybe a month and a half off from like really like grinding on the basketball court. But what I am doing, I'm doing yoga and Pilates and stretching and massaging and cupping and all those things that try to help rejuvenate my body to when it's time. Without no wear and tear. If I'm running, try to run in one of the Ultra G treadmill where you can
lessen the load.
You can lessen the load, or doing more pool workouts where you lessen the load on your limbs and joints and things of that nature. So that's what kind of like my first 6 to 8 weeks look like, after the season, because I'm still traveling, with the kids and with the family. So, obviously that's information anytime you get up in the air. But, I'm able to kind of take care of my body then for those first 6 to 8 weeks.
But I think it's an important point, like, and I think you'll agree, like, I didn't believe in taking much time off. Because
especially as you get older.
When you get older, you stop moving, you might not get it back.
Yeah.
So like continuing to do like the bits and bobs and having the regenerative effect, but still moving the body, synovial fluid, like.
No, you're right. Because if you completely just shut down, like, and do nothing, then you won't do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
You won't do nothing. You start to get comfortable with it. You're like, I don't like this feeling, but.
Yeah.
I don't,
It's like the principle that the body's an adaptive system.
Yeah.
So we do what we teach it, right? So if you run, you become someone that can run. If you sit on the couch and do nothing, you're someone that's adapted now to doing nothing. So when you ask yourself to do something, like this is dangerous. Like, for what we're trying to do, to get back out in the court and running around, things fall off, right? So it's really important, I think, to it's like almost active recovery, movement. So I'm interested that you felt that way too. But then the mental side too. Right, like getting a little bit of space from the game, the grind, right? So that when you do 4, 6, 7 weeks into the summer, get back at it, you're like, there's a little spark. There's a little bit of excitement.
It make you miss it a little bit. Yeah. And that's what I think once you get to those, plus 15 years in the NBA, you're always trying to find, the little moments of inspiration. It could be from anything. It could be just the inspiration for the miss of the love of the game.
Yeah.
You've taken time away from it, and now I miss it. I want to get back to it. It could be inspiration from, your kids.
Yep.
Hanging around your kids, no matter what sport they're playing. Yep. It could be basketball. It could be soccer. It could be, whatever they're playing. You just seeing the competitive juices. So you're like, okay, now I miss it. Or it could just be now it's time to click back in, because you still feel like you still have more time. Yeah. You still feel like I have more to give.
Yeah, and you want to be sharp.
Yeah, you want to be sharp.
And usually the season doesn't end in a championship, so you have motivation from failure. You want to be more prepared. So giving yourself that space, it revs up that motivation, which is huge, right? Like,
no, absolutely.
It's a little bit a part, I'm sure, of your journey is like, I try to tell this to young players, but like a coach could give us a workout. Here's what I want you guys to do.
Right.
And like you and I doing it can be totally different.
Right.
I did it, but like you attacked it, right? Like you went after it. Like, so the approach, the habits that you have for how you work is so important. And sometimes you need a little bit of space to say, I'm ready now. I got the spark that my habits are coming back, that every day, I'm competing in everything I do, whether it's the gym, it's mobility, stability, activation, recovery. Like, I could skip the cold. No, that's not me. I'm going to do every little step.
Yep, and I think the best thing about it is like when it becomes just a way of life.
Yep.
And it's not even about because you're an athlete. It's because it's a part of your life. You may not all the time, I know when I'm done playing basketball, I won't be going to the gym every day working on my game anymore. But as far as training and still doing things for my body, active recovery, mentally recovering mentally, grounding, things that I'm gonna still do. All the stuff that I've done besides the basketball portion, when it comes to my lifestyle, will not change. I fell in love with the hyperbaric chamber, the hot and cold tub, the plunges, the massages, the everything, the grounding, just going out and sitting in the grass and just, just literally just letting go, and all of that stuff. So those things are a part of life now. And when you're able to incorporate the active life skills into a profession as well, it unlocks a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Sleeping, obviously, like you said, is most important.
They say in the habit sciences, like a part of forming a habit is identifying with it. So like you now identify with this lifestyle. You identify with every spoke in the wheel of success, right? So I'm a little bit like you in that, like I can't sit still. Like my career is long gone now. I've been out of the game for 10, 11 years. I can't like sit still.
You've been out how long?
40 when I retired. So yeah, I just turned 51. So
are you kidding
coming
me?
up on I think it's 14. So yeah, the 11 years. My last game was March of 14 at Staples. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
11 games.
It does not seem that long.
It feels that long to me.
Now I feel old as shit. Now,
Oh, you're the young man dunking on people.
No,
so.
I feel so old. It's been 10 plus years since you played it. That's not.
I know, right?
Wow.
Time flies.
Wow, time flies.
My daughters are in college, all that stuff.
You look great,
right?
man.
So,
You said
thank
51.
you.
Freak.
Well, let's cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers,
because,
man.
I get glimpses of myself in the mirror every once in a while, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, fuck no, man.
gray,
You look fucking
wrinkles.
great. 51? I would have never guessed that.
Thank you. Okay, so then you get back in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? That part of the summer where it's like, hey, I got to get my game sharp.
Yeah.
Are you at the place still where you still add, or you just like get sharp again? Get sharp again.
I'm a place where it's more just sharpening everything.
Right.
I have, I'm not in ad mode.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've gotten to a point where what I bring to the game.
Yeah, you're comfortable with the fact that
I'm comfortable with the foundation of my game.
Yep.
But it's just all about sharpening. So if it was one summer where I feel like I didn't shoot the ball particularly well, either in catch and shoot, then I spend a lot of time in catch and shoot. If it was a point in time where I feel like my post game and wasn't as efficient I wanted to be, then I do that. If it was a point in time where I feel like my ball handling wasn't as good as I would like for it to be, I'm never going to be Steve Nash or Kyrie Irving when it comes to ball handling, but I can be myself.
Yes, sir.
Then I work on that a little bit more. So, yeah, it's just about sharpening, the foundation of my game at this point.
But I bet you add experiences, right? Like where you're like, this situation, maybe I should try something else. Does that process happen for you postseason, summer?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Next year, I need to exploit this situation in either a different way or exploit it more instead of giving this one away. I can double down here.
You know what? It comes from where's the game going. I've been in the league, and obviously, like you said, you said your last game was in 2014, so that means I was with you for 11 years competing, or whatever the case may be, either in multiple uniforms you're in. I was in multiple uniforms, but I've seen the game. When I came into the league, it was the two bigs.
Yep.
It was pretty much one guy would handle the ball, and then you had your two wings.
Yep.
And probably up until about, I guess 2008, 2009, you start having more players handle the ball, but you still had the same two bigs, thing. And then you went into Phoenix and changed the whole two bigs. No, one big. Yeah. I need one rim roller, or one guy that can sprint down the floor, beat everybody down. If you're down there, you beat the big, kick it ahead to you. If not, you come set the drag screen. We're gonna spread the game out. And we adapted that in Miami when Bosh became the five. And we see what the game is now. And now, today, it's almost 5 out.
Right.
5 out. Everyone's shooting threes.
Yeah.
So I think when it came to the offseason, I always wanted to have the adaptability and the growth mindset to be able to change with the game, where I will still be productive no matter what the game called for.
Right. Makes sense.
And I think that's what
It's like not like you didn't have it in your package.
Right.
It was just like, I need to bring out more of this.
Yeah, what did the game cause for?
Right.
Did the game cause for me to be more of a pick and roll player? Did the game cause for me to be a
Post
guy that
up
slash
more,
or slash more without the ball? Did the game cause for me to shoot a few more threes? That's where it is today. So you work on those aspects to where you're still effective, and you can still adapt and have a growth mindset with the game.
So when you're working out in the summer, you're getting back in the gym. How many days a week and how long are you in the gym with the ball?
When I'm super locked in, I'm in there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Saturday is a recovery day where I do absolutely nothing. Sunday is more of a now starting to get the body work done and get my mind ready for the long week again. I try to on Saturday just kind of get away from it. Summertime, just get away from it. Whatever it is. But 5 days a week, I'm in there, and it's usually like Monday is usually the toughest day. You know, obviously you're coming off the weekend, 2-day weekend. It's usually the most, you know, strenuous day. Tuesday is a lot of running, but a lot of just catching, shooting, getting your legs back under you. And then hump day is Wednesday. You know, hump day is Wednesday. And once you get over that Wednesday, the rest of the week is pretty, you know, because that middle of the week is always
and the body's now caught up a little bit. Yeah. You can get through it.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm trying to go 5 days a week once I'm locked in for like 8 to 10 weeks coming into the season.
And are you doing manual therapy, physio before every session?
Yeah. I'm getting there. I usually lift 3 days out of the week where I'm like in the weight room lifting, and then the other 2 days I'm just doing like, you know, the ball work, band work, just kind of mobility stuff. Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing I think like is changed from the start of my career for sure, but probably start of your career too to now is like you have to, I believe you have to be religious with the mobility, stability stuff, because the way our game's played, you know, and today it's even faster, guarding in more space, the travel, like you have to stay on top of that stuff.
When I came in, and obviously when you came in, everybody was like this.
Right.
You know, it's like who can lift the most weights? You know, who was the strongest? That's the only way you could play. Right. You know, and that's the narrative with, you know.
Thankfully for me, it changed. I wasn't going to outlive anyone.
Those motherfuckers that look like this realized they couldn't keep up with your ass. You know, that's why it changed. You helped change it, you know, so, you know.
I remember coming to the league and, like, being shocked at, like, how strong, like, Derek Harper was.
Yeah.
Like, pick me up full court and, like, you know,
that's where you can grab.
He just grabbed me by the hip, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can go anywhere. Like, I was like, how am I going to break through this? You know, and so, like, of course you adapt, you learn, but, like, the game's come so far from, like you said, the two bigs, the clutching, grabbing, chucking, the hand checking up the court. Like, man, it was stodgy back in the day. Right,
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
That's a thing. Like, and we'll get to this later in the series, but like, the talk around sometimes, you know, some people aren't as happy with the way the game is. Like, we need to help teach fans like how great the game is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going back to that. It's a lot of nostalgia. There's other factors, but like, the game is great, and we need to teach people how to appreciate this.
We just need to. I think have an appreciation, and I think if our fans will really go back and watch some of those games, they will realize then maybe that's not something we would want to see on a night-to-night basis.
Agreed.
You know, because the difference between our game now is that all of our games are on television every single day, either nationally, locally, or through League Pass. So you can watch all of our games. In the 80s and the 90s, you may be able to catch one game if you had it locally. If your team had a local broadcast deal, you could catch it. And if not, then you may not see a game for a long time. Let's, you know,
like the NBC broadcast.
NBC broadcast. Maybe once every couple of you maybe catch one or two games, you know, every other week. So, you know, I think the nostalgia of the game, I think it's just a deeper conversation of why we should appreciate and celebrate our game of basketball today, our athletes of today.
Sure.
Just like, you know, the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s guys were celebrated, and 2000 guys were celebrated. So it's definitely a conversation we get to later.
We'll get to that. I'm excited about that for sure. But how about this? At what point in the summer are you like, I want to get in game shape? And how do you, is it like September? Is it in training camp? You prep to get there in training? Like, how do you do that?
Well, we both can tell everyone out there, there's no way to get in game shape in the off season.
Right, no.
But what you can do is get in the best optimal shape leading up to the, and the step before. Because nobody can come into training camp and say, I'm in game shape. It just doesn't happen. So, you know, I try to get into the best shape I could possibly be in leading into September. So, you know, when it gets to about, you know, after the first week of August, you know, I start then to now start to like push, you know, a little bit.
I start ramping it up.
I start ramping it up. So every week I ramp it up a little bit more, ramp up the intensity, ramp up, you know, the conditioning portions. You know, I start knowing when I'm getting in better shape when I don't need as many breaks for water. You know, that's kind of like my gauge. You know,
okay, I'm fitter this week.
Yeah. Like, you know, like if I'm doing a 45-minute court workout And every 5 to 7 minutes, you know, through that 45 minutes, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm like, okay, I gotta get better. Okay, and then the next week it's like every 3 to 5 minutes, and then it's 2 to 4 minutes, and then it's 1 to 2 minutes, and then it gets to a point where I've only needed one break in 45 minutes. That's when I know, like, okay, I'm in a really good pace.
And maybe you can explain through the stages of your career, but like, when do you start playing, and like what, like in your first third of your career? First 7 years, how much did you? When did you start playing?
Playing like on 505?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to play. I mean, probably my first 12, 14 years, I played all through the summer. I mean,
it's because you love to hoop.
I just love to hoop. Yeah. Like I used to play outdoors. I played outdoor basketball as a pro. I had no idea how bad that was for me, but I was like,
you said that.
I fucking love ball. Yeah. Like me and my friend, I go back home in the summertime. You know, back in Akron. So obviously, I played for the Cavs, but I will be back in Akron. Me and my best friends, they come back from college. We get a group. We'd be playing outside.
Play outside. Yeah.
Like it was nothing. The sun is beaming off the blacktop.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like when I was at like my prime of my career, even like first 3-4 years in Phoenix, in the summer, go to the facility, you know, do all your work, play, whatever. I always